and then we'll proceed. Okay, so Hare Krishna, Sarvanath Prabhu, we can play Kirtan for a couple of minutes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining. Yes.
Jai Shri Radha Madhava Saki Vrindavan Mahaprabhu ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It is our honor and privilege to have today with us Anand Jairaman Prabhu and family. So Anand Prabhu, professionally, he is working as a principal engineer in Tesco. Earlier, he had worked in other companies like Fidelity, Intuit, and in a senior role, like a director and principal engineer, and some of the companies driving cloud technologies. And he has done his master's in operation research, and he is a Bhakti Sastri. So it means that he has thoroughly studied Bhagavad Gita and some of our Prabhupada books, and he takes a lot of interest in Bhagavatam. And not only he, but his entire family, like his son Aswin, who is studying 12th. He had just did his term 1 exam, CBSE 12th. But more importantly, he likes to write commentaries on Vishnu Sahasranam, Ramayana. Is a really scholar. Loves to do study and write commentaries, and accompanied by our Lakshmi Mataji. She is also known for her wonderful realizations. She has been organizing so many programs for the kids and for the Matajis, in terms of giving valuable scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Always busy, always busy in serving the devotees. So yes, we are very, very fortunate to have today this wonderful family and sharing with us their realizations and this beautiful theme called "Who is my real boss?" So let's welcome them by loudly chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Yes, Anand Pro, we can get started. Thank you very much. Okay, maybe I can just share a couple of slides with the Mangalacharan and then we can proceed. Prabhuji. Okay, I can. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadesatarini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Yes, we are happy to have Anand Prabhu taking us through this wonderful topic, and he will be accompanied by Lakshmi Mataji, his wife, and his son Aswin.
Yeah, I'm just going to. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. It's clear.
I'll just share my screen. Let me
Yes,
know
Prabhu.
what you're able to see it. Is
Yes,
it?
Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So today we're going to discuss the theme, who's the real boss? And one thing that we observe is that whether we like it or not, we are always working for someone, right? Be it a corporate life, or there could be bosses who are outside. There could be bosses at home also for some. So no matter what, we always are, working under some guidance, some instructions, and we are basically serving someone in some capacity. So when we look at the concept of boss, we always look at someone who's authoritative, someone who's calling the shots, someone who's passing down instructions, someone who's setting the tone, right? And just wanted to, play the small video just to see whether it rhymes with all of us here. Let's see what. Is it audible?
Yes.
Hello, Peter. What's happening? I'm gonna need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow. So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay? Oh, and I almost forgot. I'm also gonna need you to go ahead and come in on Sunday too. Okay. We lost some people this week, and we need to sort of play catch up. Thanks.
Right. So what we observe here is, someone who puts our weekend plans, at great risk by asking us to come on over a weekend and solve some of the challenges of probably an attrition or someone or some layoffs that might have happened. And we are always working against uncertainty all the time. So from that perspective, there is this alternate schools of thought where we say that be your own boss. Why do you have to work for someone, right? Which brings to a question, right? That should you start up? Should you run your own business? Should you live your own, the great American dream, like many call? And this whole aspect of, once you become your own boss, there's a whole new world that awaits you. You are the master of your destiny, right? And this school of thinking comes in. But let's understand what drives someone to be their own boss. But when I ask this question to this audience, that what is the one word that you would relate yourself with when you hear the word boss, right? I'm going to send a link over the chat and let me know once you see that, and we'll see how people think about it. Just let me send the link. One second. This, one moment.
Yeah, everybody is requested to share your thoughts, like what exactly comes into your mind when you think of a boss. You can describe it in one word. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So just enter multimedia
Yes.
link there, and people can go and express their views. Meanwhile, you're able to access the link.
Yeah, and it's anonymous, right, Pro? So that
Yeah.
nobody will tell our boss that, oh, you are thinking like this.
No, bro. It's anonymous. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Independence, power, respect, mentor, leader, motivator. All really good words. I mean, I was hoping to see some negativity also. Okay. Who controls us? Okay. Very nice. Okay. So the leader and mentor are two words which really are coming out. And we'll give it a few more seconds for others to also reflect. A friend, philosopher,
I can
arrogant.
share the screen, Proji, like your what?
Okay. Is it not visible?
No.
Oh, sorry. Is it visible now?
Yes. Thank you.
Right. So this word cloud, based on who, which is having the most voice, which word has the most voice.
Okay. Wonderful.
So let's see if a few more. There are 16 people, I think. Okay, there are 17 responses so far, and let's see. Okay. So the word leader comes out very clearly in this. Okay, so let's move. Okay, so it's very clear why anyone wants to be the boss, because there is this control over people and resources. Who doesn't want to be a controller, right? One of the reasons why we are in this material world is that we've been sent over that so that we can control some, we can lord over things, right? And that's exactly why people want to become their own boss, right? And the word subordinate and servant doesn't seem like great terms that you want to relate with. You want to be called the manager. You want to be called someone who runs the show, and not someone who accepts order, right? That's not something people relate with. You want to be seen in the power of with authority. You want to be seen as a man who runs the show. So that's exactly why all of us want to be the boss. Now let's try to answer this question that many of us in our career, in our life, would have worked with multiple bosses at any point in time. Now, which is that attribute that would basically appeal to any one of you here in the chat, in this Zoom call, that attracts you to the person with whom you want to work, or you call that person boss? Which is that opulence that you would like to see in that person? So the chat window is open. I'll just like to see what is it that appeals to you about that person that you really want to call him boss? Okay, friendly, all-rounder, great, who can understand you, understanding, fine. Okay, so we'll give it a second or so and then we'll move. Okay, so generally someone who motivates, someone who's a leader, someone who guides, fair enough, all these are really valid points, all that with which we relate, right? But there are certain qualified opulences, right, which all of us get attracted to. It's just that we are not able to recollect in our current discussion that we would like to see with the person that we are trying to work for, or we are trying to closely associate with. So wealth, like in the sense, if your boss is wealthy, if you're working for really the top brass person, and you believe that person can create wealth for you as well, not just that he's wealthy, he's going to give you stock options, he's going to essentially enroll you in the best corporate sponsorship. You would like to work with him, just like Anil Ambani, just like Mukesh Ambani. Anil Ambani is a bad example, of course. Mukesh Ambani, we know all that he's wealthy, and anybody would want to be in close association with him in terms of having him as the boss, because he can create wealth for us. The second attribute is actually strength. Here, strength not just applies the physical strength, which is nicely shown in the blackboard here, but the strength of the person in the organization, how much of clout he carries, how much of weight he carries, how much he can call the decisions, right? How much he can influence people. So when we work with such a person, people also see us in that position of strength, as they say that you are seen by your association, by the association that you keep. So when you go around with a boss who's very powerful, who's got a lot of strength within the company, you want to be with him, right? Because you would also be seen that way. And how about a boss like Barack Obama, a two-time US president, who's of course very famous universally, like everybody around the globe knows who Barack Obama is. And he's also seen as someone who's charismatic, someone who's mercurial. People really love his communication skills, which has got him to this fame. And you would also want to work with such a person because you feel you can learn a thing or two, and you will be counted in some of the presentations that he goes on with, and you'll be part of his brigade, right? You will probably get to travel as well, and your fame would also increase with his fame. So that's the part that you would like to work. And this is current hot news that Harnas Sandhu, who did India proud in making it to the Miss Universe pageant 2021, and of course, it's difficult to relate with her in terms of she being the boss, but a company, right? Once you're going around with someone who's beautiful, you will also be covered by the paparazzi. You will be covered by the camera. Camera is going to follow you, and you will be public news after that. So that's one aspect. How about someone being knowledgeable, like Shakuntala Devi, who's also known as the human calculator? She can do some impossible mathematics without beating calculator and computer hands down anytime. So someone who can actually give you the skill by which you're going to be mentally very, very sharp. So how about working for such a person? You will definitely see your skills going to the next level. So these are the 6 opulences we talked about, right? Now, let's understand is there anyone that comes to your mind who basically will have probably, if not all the 6, maybe 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6, kind of a, not just one opulence, but little more than one opulence, maybe 2 or 3 opulences. Please type out. The chat window is open. Let's see whom do you want to count in this particular definition. So the chat window is open. I've kept my screen shared. Let's see what people have to say here. Okay, Prime Minister Narendra, very good choice. Okay, strength and knowledge. Okay.
And here we are, I guess we are talking about not only for the time being, right?
Right.
For generations, I guess, right? Like who holds the wealth, or who holds the knowledge, or who holds the fame,
right?
And the beauty.
Okay, God, some people have been very straight, which is good. Okay. Dr. Abdul Kalam.
Dr. Abdul Kalam, yes.
Right.
Yes. He's a great leader.
Yeah. Krishna. Okay. Okay. So you almost, we know whom we are going to talk about, our superhero. So without further ado, here we present, oh, okay. There is one more slide on renunciation, which is also very important. Sorry about that. So with renunciation, we also want humility. We want a person who basically comes across as someone who is a servant leader, right? Someone who essentially brings the best in you through paving the way for you forward, not coming between you and your success. So that's the renunciation. And Mahatma Gandhi, of course, he has got us the independence, and he himself comes across as a very simple person, so who leads by the example. So now, how about this personality that we see on the screen, with all the 6 opulences we talked about, to its fullest possible, right? Why would we not want to have such a person as our boss, right? So let's look at some of the things which Lord Krishna exhibits, and what we may just cite here is probably an infinitesimally small percentage of what he has shown us, because he's incomprehensible, he's infinite, right? So from a wealth perspective, you can see Shri, basically the goddess of fortune, serving him. So he's the lord of the goddess of fortune. So, all wealth is there for us. And strength. Now, when you look at Krishna, he's holding the Govardhan in his left hand with the little finger, and he's holding it for a week, saving all the Brajavasis from the torrential rain which is created by Indra. And what he's doing, he's smiling all the time. He's absolutely at ease. He's calm. He's winking. He's still doing his leela. He's not keeping quiet. He's not that he's carrying such a burden and his face is full of tension. He's giving pleasure even with his face and his facial expression, and delighting the Brajavasis all the time. And what about fame? Krishna stole butter more than 5,000 years back, and we are still talking about it. These are pastimes of the Lord which bring so much of joy, right? Even the way he basically cooks up his excuses. If let's say a Gopi, Yashoda's friends, when they actually see that their houses actually ransacked. When I say ransacked, what I mean is the butter is stolen from their houses, from the pots, and Krishna comes up with excuses that he's trying to find an elephant in the pot. And when he's asked to show the elephant, he says that the elephant disappeared, and he also disappears. So there are such an innocent pastimes, such relishable pastimes that he basically brings to the fore. And that is the fame, that even the small things that he does basically gets talked about for generations, years together. And what about his beauty? There's so much that we can talk about when it comes to Krishna's beauty. there are so many phrases, and we can't do justice in one session talking about his beauty. Like there is this famous quote or the famous shloka from Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, where he says that he forbids the worldly men from going to Keshi Ghat. And why? Because even if anyone has a slight desire to enjoy life with their families, relatives, and friends, then he says, listen to my advice. If you are such a person who's interested in material world, never go to Keshi Ghat in Vrindavan. There is Sri Govindaji, who's standing with his threefold bending form, and who holds the person who beholds this deity of Govinda never returns back to his home. So you lose your way to home. In other words, one is freed from all material attachments and becomes mad after him, giving up all the material things that he has, and he becomes like the residence of Raja. So Rupa Goswami is very clear that if you do that, there's a statutory warning, right? That you probably will not come back to your home. So that's the beauty Lord exhibits. That's the vision that he shows when someone looks at him. And there's another beautiful verse from Sri Vallabhacharya, who wrote this poem Madhurashtakam. And Madhurashtakam deals with all the qualities and deeds of Krishna which have been conceptualized as being dipped in madhu, nectar, essentially. So there, I'm just going to quote just 2-3 lines from Madhurashtakam, which goes Adaram Madhuram, Vadanam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram, Hasitam Madhuram, Hridayam Madhuram, Gamanam Madhuram, Madhuradipate, Rakilam Madhuram. So lips are sweet, face is sweet, eyes are sweet, smile is sweet, heart is sweet, even the walk is sweet. So Krishna gets embarrassed when we shower so much of appreciation. So he starts to walk away, and when he turns back, your walk is also sweet. So there is no dearth of praises for Krishna, and then it goes, everything is sweet about the Lord of sweetness. So that's where it goes. So this is a beautiful set of verses from Sri Vallabhacharya. It's a highly recommended read. Then knowledge. There are, in one muhurta, Krishna has given 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, and it has been how many 5,000 plus years, and there are so many tikas which have been given, so many acharyas have written about it, and we have not had enough. Even after that, people in the modern day world are still exploring things like management philosophies, leadership qualities. Anybody who wants to be seen in public eye today, he better quote Bhagavad Gita and the knowledge that he has gained, because he will be proven to be authentic if he does that. So even it goes to that extent. So the knowledge part, and even after so many tikas, it's very difficult to say we have had enough or we know all about Bhagavad Gita, and everything that has been spoken about is actually well understood, right? So that's his knowledge part of it. And renunciation, basically, Krishna basically in the Mahabharata Yudh, he takes the role of charioteer for Arjuna, and when he does that, we see that he already has 6 opulences. We know that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He actually doesn't need to do that. He doesn't have to basically become a charioteer. He could have deputed someone, but he always wants to serve his own devotees personally, right? And when he becomes a charioteer, okay, you can say not a big deal, he's a charioteer, but the mode of communication between the charioteer and the warrior who's there in the chariot is that of it's not going to be a vocal communication. It's going to be a touch-based communication, and the touch is basically Arjuna will probably tap Krishna's left shoulder if he wants to go left. He'll tap his right shoulder through his legs if he has to go right. So imagine someone being touched by somebody's feet, and he has to serve that way. So that calls for a lot of renunciation. And if you take any humanly, if people have 2 qualities out of the 6, they really can't even handle that. Take an example of Beatles, who were extremely famous, but they couldn't handle their fame, and they actually withered away at some point in time. They took to drugs, and the whole group, went astray at some point. So not just that, in Sudama, how he received Sudama by washing his feet, and how he actually played the role for Yudhishthir Maharaj in receiving all the guests for the Rajyabhishek. So all those aspects, is hugely part of the renunciation. Now, we talked about a lot of these attributes. Now, what does Shastra have to say about it? So this is a beautiful verse from Parashar Muni. Parashar Muni is basically father of Vyasadev. So there's a very nice shloka which goes, Vyasar Vashishta Navtaram Shaktehe Potram Akalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukathatam Taponidim. So the whole generation of Vyasacharya, Parashar Muni, Vashishta, and Sukadev Goswami, all of them so glorious, right? And here in Vishnu Purana, which is basically a conversation between Parashar and Maitreyi, Parashar Muni quotes, Bhagavan is that supreme personality of Godhead who is defined by these 6 opulences: full strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation, which we covered. So we have a Shastra backing this definition as well. Now let's see, now that we know that the God is the ultimate boss, is he a person or is he an energy? So I'm just going to quickly share a link. Let's see if you're able to see it. So I'm going to put that in chat and let me know once you're able to see it. So I'm going to keep the screen open here and let's see how things go. So is God a person or energy? Neither person nor energy, etc., etc. Let's see how people like to vote. Both person and energy, okay. Both person and energy is winning hands down. Let's see. How many are there in the chat? Just want to make sure that we have the full participation here. Okay. So you have about 14 responses, 15. Okay. So person is gaining a little traction here. Okay. Okay. 16. Okay. So let's probably. Okay. So I think the poll unanimously has selected both person and energy. I think it's a very, very knowledgeable audience. So I'm just going to say that. So let's see. What do we have in the subsequent slides? So is he a person or energy? Many of you have unanimously voted that it is both. He's both person and energy. Now, let's again take a quotation from Shastra. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam avvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabdyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, right? And basis this, let's take a simple analogy of the sun, basically. So when someone sees the sun rise, like you're in your room and you see sunlight coming in from the window. So you know that, okay, there is sun. So you're able to relate sun through its light. So if the sunlight is there, sun is out somewhere. So you don't know the exact position of the sun, but you're seeing the light. So you know that sun is out. So you're relating sun through the sunlight. The other is you step out in the open, you're walking through your garden, and then you see this golden disk shining on the sky. And then you're able to say, yes, this is sunlight. So I can see the golden sphere, I can see the sun planet from a distance, and therefore I can say sun is out. And then there are a very select few, I don't know who who can travel to sun planet. But sun planet in Sanskrit is called Surya Loka, right? A loka where people reside. There are jivatmas who can reside in sun planet also. As Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita that the Atma cannot be cut, it cannot be burned. So Atma technically can live in or can reside in Surya Loka as well, right? They may not have the same material bodies like we have, which is made of flesh and blood, but they may have fiery bodies, right? So if someone visits such a planet and he goes around and finds the sun god there and he's able to see him in person, then you know that you have a completely different conception of sun, right? Now let's put this analogy to basically how we look at Krishna, right? So Krishna basically, when he's seen with his effulgence, right? When people see Krishna's effulgence from a distance, then they know that they're able to relate with Krishna through his impersonal light. So the body of Krishna is throwing that effulgence, and that's what we relate with as Brahman. And then Krishna basically, the localized feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Paramatma. And Paramatma is residing in every jiva, every atom, right? And basically he, through Brahman, you see something which is, ever existent. And through Paramatma, you're able to get the aspect that Krishna is able to control, or is able to guide the jivatmas by his Paramatma, which is the localized feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But there is this next level of understanding, which is Krishna as a person, and Krishna as a person has a form, right? And since he has a form, we are able to have reciprocation with Krishna, because as jivatmas or as people with form, we cannot relate with someone. It's very difficult to relate with a mere light. It's very difficult to relate with just energy. And if you reason about, energy cannot exist without an energetic person, right? For example, if you look at sun, you are able to map it to a source of a sun. Similarly, energy cannot come without energetic. That is one part. And the other important reason, or the other important thing to notice here, is that Krishna's body is not a material body like ours. He is Satchidananda Vigraha. So Sat means eternal, Chit means knowledge or consciousness, and Anand means bliss. So he doesn't have a material body, but he has a Satchidananda Vigraha. And the other argument that someone can make, and there are many people who believe in the formlessness because they feel that we being material, we being jivatmas who have a material body, and we get a lot of pain through our body. God cannot get pain, and therefore he doesn't have body. But we just saw that his body is not material like us, so it's Sachidananda Vigraha. The second is that Krishna's, if somebody has a body, and we all come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and if we have a body and we say Krishna doesn't have a body, that means there is something incomplete about Krishna, something that we have and Krishna doesn't have. And that cannot happen because we come from Krishna. So therefore, Krishna is complete, and therefore Krishna has to have a body, right? So that's the aspect. And this is, we should see the three stages as levels of understanding. So Brahman realization is also there, but that's not complete. Paramatma realization is also there. So I'll say primary, secondary, and this is like postgraduate, right? And our interactions and our relativity with the Lord enhances when our concept of understanding goes from left to right, right? So these are the takeaways from this particular slide. Now with this, I will turn it to Ashwin, who will talk us through, how we basically need to understand Lord and other devatas whom we may also be worshipping, and how should we have that understanding. So Ashwin, please.
Hare Krishna. Firstly, we all must have gotten bored listening to Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Let's take it chill. Let's hear a story. And this story I'm sure everyone has heard about. We all know Birbal, and Birbal is a minister at the king at Akbar, and Birbal is one of the Navaratnas, and Birbal is known for his wit and his advisory skills for Akbar. And because he's so witty and good at advising, he becomes famous. Now, once someone becomes famous, a lot of other people want to pull that person down. I'm sure we can tell from our personal experiences as well. So once such kind of people were the ministers at Iran, they wanted to, pull Birbal down and, humiliate him. They're idealizing the next day's headlines as Birbal humiliated by the ministers of Iran. Watch tonight's debate for more information. They were idealizing such stuff, and Birbal is like, okay, let's go and see what happens. And Birbal goes to Iran, and the ministers welcome him. Welcome, Birbal. Enjoy your stay for tonight, and we'll see you at the court tomorrow. And Birbal goes to the court. And as soon, Birbal is not looking at anything else because the archaeology of Iran is very beautiful. But once he looks up, he sees like 5 thrones and 5 similar people wearing the same clothes with the staff, and all of them look the same. Now he has to pay obeisances to one person, but if he pays the obeisances to the wrong person, he will commit an offense to the king. Okay, so Birbal thinks, and then he goes to one person and he's like, Your Majesty, I'm Birbal reporting from Akbar. And king is absolutely shocked. He's like, how did you do that? And I'm going to ask you the same question. How do you think Birbal did that? Chat. You can text in the chat.
All the eminent personalities having the same dress, same costumes, but how Birbal could recognize. Okay, that's an interesting question. Okay. I'm not sure. Okay.
Body language. Behavior change. I mean, all of you are almost correct, but so Birbal stood still for about some time, and all the other 4 people who are actually ministers dressed as the king. So they started looking at one person. All the 4 people were looking at one person, and this person is because of the people looking at the person, Birbal guessed that this person should be the head, and these people are following them. So Birbal went to that person. Similarly, all the ministers can be compared to as the demigods who look to the supreme god for their acknowledgement. And 1 minute. Yeah. So for this acknowledgement, Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita, he tells a shloka. He says, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarvabhutanam nyatva mam shantim rachati. So does anyone want to read the translation of this shloka?
A person in
I will read. Prabhu.
Sure.
Shall I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries.
Yes. So he's in the second line, we see supreme lord of all planets and demigods. So Krishna makes himself very clear that he is the supreme lord of all demigods. Now this is a very technical term. So let's understand this to an example. We all want to study in IITs and NITs to get placed in multinational corporations such as Microsoft. So let's analyze Microsoft as the company. So the CEO of Microsoft right now is Satya Nadella. And Satya Nadella is not going to make an account on Instagram and post something about Microsoft. What he will do is he will appoint someone to do the stuff for him, and that person will report to him. So this is just an example. There could be multiple such examples, like any organization for that matter. For example, the government, there is one prime minister, and there are a lot of cabinet ministers, the defense minister, external affairs ministers. So all of that, a prime minister, he does his job through the ministers, and the ministers report back to him. So similarly, like you have a flow chart like this. CEO, all of them represent one person, but have different responsibilities. So similarly, in our universe or multiverse, like Web3 and multiverse is the new future of 2022. So the multiverse, you have different ministry, and Krishna being the prime minister. Like the water, I mean, for example, Krishna is not going to take a bucket full of water and roam around every person. Krishna appoints Varuna, and he takes the responsibility of giving water to everyone. And like Kartikeya, who's like the defense minister in our terms, Lakshmi Devi, who's the goddess of opulence, and Agni Dev, who's the god of fire. And I'm sure I still get the feeling that people aren't convinced yet. So let's take another Shastrik Praman, which is from the Bhagavatam. And in Bhagavatam, there's this, in the 10th canto, the 10th skandam, you have this Leela of Aghasura, where Krishna defeats the snake demon and he comes out. Now, as he killed Aghasura, Krishna is hungry, everyone gets hungry. So Krishna goes to this forest and he's eating food, and in a circle, Krishna is in the center and all the other cowherd boys are sitting around him, and the calves are eating the grass on the side. Now, all of a sudden, there is grass which is more greener on the other side. We have heard this proverb that the grass is always greener on the other side, but it was actually greener in that side. And the cows got attracted to it, and cows started going towards it, and it just disappeared. So what actually happened was Brahma, he was under the influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Everyone is under the influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Tyagaraja, who is a very famous poet and poet in South India, he takes this kirtana which says, Chimalo, Brahmalo, Shiva Keshavalo, Roma Bharama, Raghurama, which he means that even an ant is under the influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, so is Brahma. So anyways, Brahma is under the influence of mode of ignorance, and he steals away these cows, and Krishna and these cowherd boys are, they're confused as like, why is the cows disappeared? And then they perform Sharanagati to Krishna, and Krishna says, don't worry, I'll go and find them. And then Krishna on his left hand, he's carrying the food which he's going to eat, and he's going and running towards that side. And he doesn't find the cows. And he goes back to inform the cowherd boys. And when he comes back, there was no cowherd boys either. And then Krishna is crying out for these cowherd boys. And he's looking out, where is he? Where is he? So, and then Brahma takes them to Brahmaloka. And because of the time difference, in the earth, it was just a second. But while he was going to Brahmaloka, it became a year because of the distance. And Brahma is going to Brahmaloka, and the Dwarapalaka is there. He's like, you are fake Brahma. And then Brahma's like, eh? Like, how? I am the real Brahma. And then Dwarapalakas were like, no, you look there, that person is the real Brahma. And then there he sees another Brahma with Saraswati. He's like, Saraswati, that's not me. That's someone else. And Brahma is absolutely confused, and he's like, no one else could have done this but Krishna. And then he tries to go down, and as he's going down, he sees all the other cowherd boys are as it is, And then he sees a cowherd boy here, he sees a cowherd boy there, and he's even more confused. And then while this is happening, the cowherd boys were Krishna assumed the form of these cowherd boys and he expanded, and and because it took a year, Krishna expanded and expanded as a cowherd boy, and this cowherd boy went home. Krishna as a cowherd boy went home, and while he was going home, his mom came and he's like, why do I feel more love towards you right now? And then Krishna knows Krishna knows because mom is feeling more love towards him because he's the supreme personality of Godhead, but he doesn't say anything. This mom feels like unfound love towards this child. And because Brahma abducted the cowherd boys along with their tiffin boxes, Krishna assumed the form of the tiffin box as well. So while the mom was, washing the utensils, she was not being very rough with it. He was being very soft with the utensils, and then she felt love towards the utensils as well. So that is the power of Krishna. And Brahma comes and he becomes even more confused, and he's like, I just had it for a day. And then he falls at the feet of Krishna, and then Krishna accepts his forgiveness, and he says, no one else but you is the supreme personality of Godhead. Now that we have established the point that Krishna is supreme through karmic references, to Shastric Praman, now let's find out how we can serve him, or how we can reciprocate his love for us back to him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you, Ashwin. Now we understood that who is Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, and who are the Devatas. Now we should understand in what mood we have to approach them, or in what mood we should have towards the Devatas. So for this, let us take a day-to-day example. Right? For example, a girl is getting married into a family. Of course, her husband is the highest, and she should love him. But if a girl is married, it does not mean that she is only to that person. So she gets married into a family where there will be mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and there will be a lot of cousins. Everyone will be there in that family, right? So the girl should not say that, or the girl will not say that I will love only my husband, I will not love other person in the family. Even if she says that, even her husband will not like it. So we can take this as like Krishna is like our husband, and all other devatas are our relatives of our husband. So we should give them the respect. We should respect them in that way. And so saying so, we'll move to how to love. So we know that we should love our husband, right? So what do we mean by love? So what is the term of love? So can we have the answers? Like, if we are loving a person, so what would be our thing towards that person? You can describe it in the chat box. Respect.
Devotion, dedication, selfless, respect.
Respect, yeah.
Okay. You can get a few more messages.
Caring. Sure.
Surrender. Very nice. Okay. We can have a few more messages because I think we have what? 18?
Acceptance. True.
Love and surrender. Affectionate. Unconditional love, care, respect, no expectations. Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you. Caring and truthfulness. Two-way reciprocation. Beautiful. Unconditional surrender. Thank you. Yes, when we love that person, yes, we tend to do some service. We will be so much of we show so much of affection. So when we love a person, it means that we want to please that person, right? Like we want to please that person. Pleasing a person means to serve him, right? So how to please we all know as grahasthas or as students or as bachelors, we all know how to please others, right? For example, if we are a student, we know how to please our teacher by studying well, right? If we study well, the teacher gets pleased. If we respect our parents, if we obey our parents, parents gets pleased. And how does husband gets pleased? I think all wives know. Like if we don't spend more, if we serve prasadam properly, and if we respect his relatives, in that way, husband gets we can please our husband. And same way with wife also. Like if a husband gets a good gift, like automatically wife gets pleased. So these are the different ways to please our loved ones. And just now we so far heard that Krishna is the supreme Lord and he is the supreme boss. And who are we? We are all das. So if we say ourselves like we are das, then what is our position? So we have to serve the master, right? So because we just now has heard that in Bhoktaram Shloka, we just learned that we have to, everything belongs to Krishna and Krishna is the sole proprietor of this universe. So we are all caretakers of this universe. So once we say caretakers, we should take proper care. And how we do proper care, like when we are using someone's English, we use it with utmost care, right? So we follow the rules and regulations. When someone gives us a new mobile or something, we first read the manual, we understand how to use that thing properly, right? Likewise, when we are loving Krishna, when Krishna is to be loved, then what is the way to please and serve him? So the way to please and serve Krishna. Yeah. So since we are all parts and parcels of the Lord, and we have to serve the Lord. So how do we serve the Lord? So Krishna's, we can serve the Lord through different processes. First is that we chant the holy names of the Lord, and we read the scriptures properly. And by reading, it's not only reading scriptures, because when we read it ourselves, we cannot understand it properly. We can't understand the things properly, because even if you want to learn maths or if you want to take a degree, we go to a particular college or university to understand that. Likewise, if we want to read the scriptures, we should go to that authentic sampradaya to learn the scriptures. So we should hear from the authorities and we should serve the devotees. And by doing all these things, then Krishna will get pleased. And what will happen if Krishna is pleased? So if a principal is pleased by our behavior in the college and with our marks, with our studies, what happens is that he awards us a degree from that university. Likewise, if we are a good citizen in a government, what does the government does? If we pay our tax properly on time, if they give us a good citizen award, and they do a lot of welfare activities for us as a citizen, right? So what is Krishna? We do all the services properly. What does Krishna give us? So Krishna gives us eternal happiness. What is that eternal happiness is? Krishna gives us space and he loves us back, and he gives us the opportunity to serve him eternally in his own abode. That is what Krishna gives. So when we have that position of being a Krishna's intimate servant or a child or a friend in his heart, then we will not get into this material world of again taking place of birth, death, old age and disease. So this is what Krishna is giving. He is giving the highest, because we know that he is a supreme, he is a master of everything, and because whatever he gives is also eternal. Because Krishna is eternal, whatever results we derive from Krishna is also eternal. So let us follow this 4 regulative principles, and we chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and get into this transcendental happiness forever.
Okay, so we had a lot of, we covered a lot of topics today. We essentially saw the concept of boss. We saw the authoritarian side of it. We understood, what a boss in our day-to-day dealings looks like. And then we also saw the 6 attributes, right, which helps us uh, get attracted to a person, and those were the 6 attributes which were basically the the power, the uh, if you go back, um, wealth, power, fame, renunciation. What else did we see? Let's hear it from the audience. How many have clearly, can anyone talk about those 6 attributes before I complete? Anybody? Fame, beauty, fine. Then wealth, beauty, knowledge, strength. Right. Yes, I think fame is the only one missing. I think Sushma Mataji covered it. Yeah. So we are aware of these 6 attributes, 6 opulences: wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. So these are the 6 attributes we covered. Then we also saw Shastrik Praman from Parashar Muni on those 6 attributes and how Bhagavan possesses all the 6 attributes into its fullest. Right? Then we also saw the levels of understanding. We saw the 3 levels of understanding, which is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. All the 3 levels of understanding. We saw it as primary, secondary, and postgraduate kind of a study, and how we should lean towards the Bhagavan kind of an understanding that will help us serve the Lord better. Right? We also saw the aspect of one God versus multiple gods. Like, we clearly saw that Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam, that particular verse, and we saw that how Lord is the controller of all controllers. And finally, Ashwin talked about these areas, God and other gods, and we saw the Brahma Vimohan Leela as well. And then towards the end, we saw how we can love and serve the Lord. And service to the Lord or love for the Lord actually means serving Him, serving His devotees. So we saw that how we can serve the Lord through His devotees and directly, also serving Him. And that's what we covered in the last point. So with this, would like to, give my heartfelt gratitude to all the people listening in, for having given us the opportunity to be able to speak as a family on this very, very, I would say the most important subject matter one can ever speak on, right? Which is always Krishna, right? So I'm very, very obligated to Sudhir Gopal Prabhu and the IBC Whitefield team for giving us this opportunity so that we can come here and speak to all of you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Anand Prabhu. Ashwin, that was a wonderful story. And then Lakshmi Mataji, would like to hear if anybody have any questions, comments, and then we have some wonderful announcements as well.
Yes.
Any questions, comments from anybody? Like, we heard so beautifully, right? Like, we wanted to share with you today a different feature, like how as a family practicing so sincerely Krishna consciousness. We saw Ashwin, he was such a young boy, but he really loves reciting and the slokas, the verses from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, narrating the stories from Bhagavatam. And at the same time, yes, we do our duty, like in our corporate life, professional life, or in a social life, family life. How we can really live a Bhagavad family. Hare Krishna. Yes. Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, anybody would like to unmute yourself and share something
हरे कृष्ण
or
प्रभु
ask
जी।
any questions? हाँ, पिंती माता जी।
दंडवत प्रणाम आपको भी और आनंद प्रभु जी को और उनके पूरी फैमिली को। हाउ ब्लेस्ड फैमिली ना, एवरीबॉडी इज सो इतनी 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 ज्ञान भरे हुए हैं इनके अंदर, हम सोच भी नहीं सकते इतना। लॉर्ड कृष्णा ने इन्हें इतना ब्लेस किया है और बहुत अच्छा लगा इनका सारा बातें सुन के, सारी बातें जो आपने बताई प्रभु जी, बहुत इंस्पायर किया आपने। और आपकी वो माता जी, लक्ष्मी माता जी, वो ऐसा लगा जैसे साक्षात लक्ष्मी माँ हमें प्रीच कर रही हूँ। और आपके वो जो सुपुत्र, आई फॉरगॉट हिज नेम ना, अश्विन, या अश्विन प्रभु जी, आपने भी बहुत अच्छे से सारा कुछ डिस्क्राइब किया। थैंक यू सो मच। हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा। लॉर्ड ब्लेस यू, bless you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I mean, I don't know how much we are deserving of all this, but we are happy that we were given this opportunity.
जी, और हमारे जो प्रभु जी हैं, सुधीर गोपाल दास प्रभु जी, वो उन्हीं की कृपा से आपकी ये सारी बातें हमें सुनने को मिली है। इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रभु जी आपको।
He is our mentor and guru. We get all the inspiration from Sudhir Gopal.
जी, वो हमारे गुरु जी हैं और हमें हमेशा इंस्पायर करते हैं, हमारे सारे मन के भाव को समझ जाते हैं और समझाते हैं।
So thank you Pinti Mataji. So Chaitanya Prabhu, he has some questions. What difference one might encounter if we considered God as a person or energy or both? Will it make any difference in its journey? So maybe Anand Prabhu, you can just share your thought. Like if we just consider one part.
Right. So as we just saw that the aspect of God versus God as an energy, God as a person, it's first of all very difficult for us to serve an energy. There is no reciprocation that we can have. First of all, as persons who has a form, we would always want to serve a person so that we can see the reciprocation. The second thing is that as an energy also you can look for Krishna, you can see the presence of Krishna through his energy also. But when you are able to see Krishna in his form with all the qualities, all the pastimes, then your understanding becomes complete. Then you can actually serve him better, and you're able to make progress. And there's a very interesting shloka in Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna specifically asks the question that someone who does the impersonal formless worship versus someone who basically the second stage, which is Paramatma, and third is Bhagavan. And Krishna says anyone who approaches me in that particular level of understanding, he is a perfect yogi. So it is certified by Krishna that you approach him more as a god with a form, and he's a person. So sorry Prabhu, you may want to add, but I'm not able to quote the shloka number, but I know that it's answered in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, so no, I think thank you Prabhuji for adding that. Like so once again, like you talk about let's say prime minister, he's a person, but at the same time he has some authority, he has some energy, right? Like we talk about sun, we cannot just say that sun is only sun sign, right? There is no there's a presiding deity of that sun, or like Prabhupada, he gives one more example. वो बोलते हैं कि जैसे हम let's say हम दूर से कोई एक पहाड़ देख रहे हैं, you are seeing a mountain from very far distance, and what it shows a very a green color, some shape, right? Like it says okay, that's maybe at very far we see that okay, maybe that's what it is. But then once you get closer, we see there are a lot of trees in that mountain. But once you go inside that mountain, we see not only trees are there, but so many animals are there. So it's like in a different degrees of realization. So we cannot ignore one aspect and take only the other aspect, right? So the complete understanding is to understand holistically, right? To understand the Lord's energy feature, and also like the source of energy is really, yes, is the Supreme Lord. Chaitanya Prabhu, was it enough? Okay. And then he's asking, is it possible that we consider both God as a person, then we will abide by the physical appearance and might deviate from the quality that God wants to project? Yes, we have to we have to understand the complete feature of the Lord, and we have to respect, like, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that how Lord is present, right, in terms of an energy in various aspects, right? And Lord is there as a Paramatma in everywhere. And then how Lord is there as a person also, and how do you reciprocate? So we can really reciprocate with the Lord in the multiple pieces, but the complete reciprocation can happen with the God as a person. Okay. Yes, like as you said, like, yeah, it's a varied degrees of understanding, but once you understand Krishna as a Supreme Lord, then we really reciprocate with him completely. Okay. Okay, any okay, so like I have my daughter Subhangi also here. She wants to share a nice verse glorifying Lord Krishna. Nice. You want to share? Okay. Okay, she wants to share, and then after that we'll share so many things as well. Yes, please go ahead. Closer.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Samasta Jagatam Krishnam Vina Kagati Krishnena Pratihanyate Kalimalam Krishnaya Karyam Nama Krishnat-trasti Kala Bhima Bhujago Krishnasya Sarvam Vaset Krishna Bhakti Akhandita Bhavatu Me Bho Krishna Tvam Eva Ashraya.
In this beautiful verse, devotees pray to the Lord that, oh Krishna, you are everything. Krishna Vina Kagati. There is nothing else. That's why Lord is called Asamurtha. And there is nobody who is equal to or above than him. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments before we share some more thoughts? So for all of you, we would have a special announcement. Yes, we are going towards the end of our Gita course. We have heard a lot of things, and so if possible, we would request all of you that why don't we meet, at least who are in Bangalore. So we have a center here in Whitefield. So can we meet here next Sunday? Next Sunday, that's a 26th. In our ACS layout center, in our Whitefield center. We would request everybody, and we are so grateful that all of you have given us opportunity to host this Gita course. So why don't at least the participants who are in Bangalore, they come down and all of us can meet together and have a wonderful feast. We can offer you a wonderful feast next Sunday, but the timing would be a little different. So instead of we starting at 5 o'clock, that program will start at 6 o'clock. So how many of you are looking forward to it? Can you just say Hari Bol or yes? At least the devotees who are in Bangalore, if you would be okay, of course, we'll try to maintain social distancing, mask and all that. And then of course, we'll offer you a wonderful feast. That's a coming Sunday. That's at 6 o'clock. So that will be our final session where we'll be discussing on a theme called the ultimate perfection. So coming Sunday, of course, we will have a hybrid program as well, where we'll have, of course, opportunity for our online participant as well. So you can join online as you have been doing, but at the same time, we'll also give opportunity for the devotees who are in Bangalore. They can come down and we can really meet so that we can have that personal discussion as well, because we talked about today as as a personal philosophy. Our philosophy is personal, right? So we would like to meet personally with all of you. So it would be really nice if you make an endeavor to come down, so that it will be really nice. Okay, yes. So whoever, right, definitely we'll send more details about our address of the center and the details. But this would be our humble attempt to really come together and share like the power of association, because once we really understand and we really value these instructions of Bhagavad Gita in a satsang. And satsang, yes, we are getting the value through like virtually, right, through the Zoom. But then here's the power once we come together and dance together, sing together, and have a feast together. Like it's a million times more effect. Yes, we can understand like the constraints that you might have. Somebody is traveling, somebody like having concerns with respect to all this virus and so on. That like leave it to you. Like yes, we'll try to have some norms maintained, and then if possible, yes, we would love to have your association as well. Okay, so before we proceed, any questions, comments, or anything else you would like to share before we proceed for our Kirtan program? Anybody else would like to share any questions, comments? And then yes, as we have been talking about it, yes, as we have been talking about, this month is a special month, Gita Jayanti month, and we Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's a special Gita Jayanti month. Okay, and we try to serve in various ways, and we try to distribute this Bhagavad Gita in various places. So I would request all of you, right, to take this Bhagavad Gita and to share this Bhagavad Gita, as many ways as possible. And yes, like wherever you want, right, we can distribute this Bhagavad Gita. And it's also the shipping is really also like this time, somehow if subsidized it, and all of you can take this opportunity to have this Bhagavad Gita at your doorstep. Yes, and as usual, we'll have our Food for Soul session on Thursday. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I think we can proceed further for our chanting session. So Sarvanath Prabhu, can we just chant together?
Yes, Prabhu, you will start. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Today in our Japa talk, we are discussing how it is important for all of us to connect to the holy name. And today we heard also how Krishna, he is everything for all of us. And it is, once we understand it, once we are aware of the potency of the Supreme Lord Krishna, yes, our heart goes out to him. We feel attracted to him. And then we should, once we get that awareness, once we get attracted to him, and then we should be really absorbed in surrendering to him. And how we can be absorbed in surrendering to him? By chanting the holy name of the Lord, either through the japa or through the kirtan. This is a very beautiful process, and as many times as possible, as many ways as possible, we can really just surrender ourselves with our body, mind, and words by hearing this holy name of the Lord. Once we hear, especially from Srila Prabhupada, how purely he is chanting this holy name, and just by hearing this chanting of the holy name, millions of lives, their heart is transformed. Like, yes, we have been discussing about the different modes of nature, like how people who are coming really from the mode of ignorance or mode of passion, or in mixed modes, but they really transcendented all the modes, and they situated into this transcendental mode of goodness. That's a Suddha Sattva stage. And this is the power of this holy name. So it can not only remove all the anarthas in our heart, but also it can give us the pure love of Godhead that Krishna is offering us. It's really up to us. How do we approach Krishna? Lord is waiting for us to give that supreme love to all of us. He's there to flood our heart with that love, with that pure love. So yes, let's continue to chant the holy name of the Lord. And let's do now another form of chanting of the holy name is kirtan. And Subhangi, you want to sing? Okay, so come here. Sing. Yes, so he wants to sing kirtan today. Start.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Vivo.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Vivo
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Vivo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Harinama Sankirtan Yajna ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you very much once again, everybody, for joining. And once again, we would like to thank our Anand Prabhu, Lakshmi Mataji, and Ashwin for beautiful narration of this theme called Who is My Supreme Boss? Who is the Boss? And we heard so wonderfully today how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and with all the features, and how we can reciprocate with him through the love, through surrendering ourselves by serving him, and also serving all the living entities who are part and parcel of him. Yes, we should continue this process of serving him by chanting his holy name and by distributing this message of Krishna through this Bhagavad Gita everywhere. Thank you very